Hello there, my name is Wafflestheasianyenbear and welcome to a Pokemon Showdown RU battle. Today we're going to be using our Scrafty team that we built on Monday, and if you guys missed that, you can go ahead and check it out down in the description below or at the end card of this video. But before we get into the actual battle, I just want to go ahead and mention this is the very first battle I did with this team. It was my testing battle and it actually went much more competitively than I thought it was going to. The reason I mention that though is because Cloyster has Icicle Crash instead of Icicle Spear. It does not end up mattering, but I figure you guys are going to notice it, so I want to just go ahead and let you know before it happens, so you aren't confused when it shows up. It's also why Donphan and Roserade and Electros are not shiny. It's before I did the fine-tuning details on it. But that being said, Ash Ketchum God has brought the Vaporeon, the Registeel, the Gligar, the Nidoqueen, the Virizion, and the Cinccino. And the first thing I noticed with this team is that Cloyster kills Cinccino, Virizion, Nidoqueen, and Gligar, I almost said Gligar, with one Shell Smash. The thing standing in my way of that is Registeel and Vaporeon. So my main goal here is that I need to wear those down to the point where they'll die to Rock Blast and Icicle Spear, respectively. Icicle Crash, technically. But the Registeel is going to be a big pain in my side, so I want to make sure to take care of that. However, looking at the team, I'm not really sure what's going to lead. Registeel could, Gligar could, or even really Nidoqueen. So I figured I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lead with Electros. I can Volt Switch on anything that's kind of an unfavorable matchup for me. I've got Hidden Power Ice, so I can hit Gligar and the Nidoqueen, as well as Flamethrower to hit the Registeel. So I'm going to lead with that. Ash Ketchum is actually going to lead with Virizion, which I kind of find interesting because I can just click Flamethrower here. If the Vaporeon wants to switch in on me, I can Volt Switch on that later, but I figure I might as well just go for the Flamethrower, try to deal with that Virizion early. I'm guessing maybe they were predicting Scrafty to lead or Donphan, I'm not 100% sure, but we go for the Flamethrower and it does 31% of this, and it's fantastic. So I figure this thing's probably just going to set up rocks. I'm going to hard switch into Donphan because Electros is slower than Registeel, so that I can get Donphan in before the Stealth Rocks go up and I can keep my Sturdy just in case. So he goes for the rocks, I go for my rocks just in case because I'd rather force his Gligar to defog because I'm not sure if I'm going to really be able to Rapid Spin here. However, the Registeel stays in it and it Toxics me, so I'm like, okay, well that's fine. I'm guessing he's just predicting it. I'm just going to go ahead, I'll go for the Earthquake. If the Gligar wants to come in, that's fine. It'll probably try to defog, but my opponent actually stays in and goes for Stealth Rocks, predicting my Rapid Spin. So this tells me they really want to keep the Stealth Rocks up. So I'm going to try to do what I can to Rapid Spin them away at some point, but I figure now is when the switch comes in. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to switch out, I go to Electros, predicting the Gligar switch in, but the Registeel actually stays in and clicks Protect, and I'm kind of confused there, because I'm like, I know you had Protect, but all you're doing is you're getting a little bit of leftovers recovery, so if I had gone in and gone for the Earthquake there, that would have been ridiculous, but we see that the Registeel has Protect and it has Toxic, so we've seen Toxic, Protect, Stealth Rock. This thing is a Toxic stalling Registeel. I might as well just go into Doublade, the Pokemon that cannot be Toxic, and go for like Sacred Swords and stuff. So it goes for the Protect again. It's just getting a little bit of leftovers recovery, which is going to make it mildly annoying to kill. But I'm going to go for the Sacred Sword now because I want to see what his switch in is. Is it going to be Nidoqueen, is it going to be Gligar, or Vaporeon? And it's actually Vaporeon. So we know that this Vaporeon is physically defensive, which is good. I'm going to keep that in mind. But I'm going to keep Asna and switch that back out because I know this is going to come in and wall that Registeel pretty much any chance it gets. Registeel hasn't revealed his fourth move, but really I kind of get the feeling that it's not something that can deal with an Aegislash. So I go into Roserade, I take a Scald with 10% and I do get burned, and that really doesn't make too big of a difference because I have the natural cure, except for the extra little residual damage that I'm going to be taking. So I go for the Giga Drain. He's going to Protect because he just wants to wear me down a little bit. So I'm like, alright, fine, whatever. And I'm just going to go for it again, I believe. And I think the Registeel switches in on me here. And we're going to see it really is not doing that much. The Registeel is really, really specially bulky. It's something I'm going to keep in mind. But because this thing switched in, I'm like, okay. But really, again, I still have Aegislash. So what I can do here is, knowing that Vaporeon is probably going to switch in on me, I can Swords Dance, and then I can take a hit from the Vaporeon and Sacred Sword, and I should be able to wear it down a good chunk, which will put me in a better situation for when Cloyster comes in and tries to deal damage. But Registeel reveals its fourth move is Seismic Toss, and now I know it cannot touch me. Protect, Toxic, Stealth Rock, Seismic Toss. So I know it has to switch out. I go for the Swords Dance, not trying to sweep with Asna. Like I said in the team builder, this is going to be a thing to apply pressure, because now the Vaporeon has to stay in and go for damage. It can't protect because that's risking me Swords Dancing again. So it's going to go for a move here. It's going for Scald, and thankfully I don't get burned, and I go for the Sacred Sword. And it unfortunately just does not do as much as I would have liked. 45% is nice, but that's not enough where I feel comfortable taking another Scald. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out now. I'm going to go back into Roserade. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, alright, if Registeel comes back in, I can do this again. I can play this, make the same play again, and then I can go for like Sacred Sword or Shadow Sneak or something. Or I could just go ahead and predict it and go for the Shadow Sneak on the predicted switch in. But again, we're talking a few turns ahead here. So it's going to protect, because Ash Ketchup God is a little bit predictable with that. He tries to protect whenever he can to get his leftovers recovery. So unfortunately, I don't really take too much of advantage of that in this matchup, but I go for the Giga Drain. Registeel can come in pretty easily, but I have something that can just come in any time of the week. Oh, another difference from the team builder. We have Leaf Storm instead of Hidden Power Fire, which is why we also couldn't deal with the Registeel as well as I would have liked. So I go for the Leaf Storm. It does 18%, which is nice. I was hoping it would kill, but unfortunately it doesn't. So that's alright. But I still have Unagi-san predicting the Vaporeon switch. I'm predicting Ash Ketchum to predict me, but again, he is just going to go for the Protect. And I'm like, really? Is that really what we're going to do here? So I'm just going to go ahead and go back and... Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to go for the Flamethrower here. I'm risking Toxic, but I know that Flamethrower will kill. And now Ash Ketchum God should know this too. So I can go for the Volt Switch, predicting the Vaporeon switch. However, Ash Ketchum God is willing to let Registeel go down to the Flamethrower, because we saw it does 31% to this. Just to... I'm not sure what he goes for here. Just to go for Seismic Toss. But again, I've got Asna. I can just switch into it every day of the week. So I do that. I believe I go for Sacred Sword here. And we see that Ash Ketchum actually switches up what he wants to switch in, because Vaporeon has taken too much damage now. So I was hoping to catch the Vaporeon on the switch. The Nidoqueen comes in, takes 19%, which is not really great. And now I know I kind of have to sack Donphan. There's not really much I can do. I could maybe switch into Electros, but Electros does more for me than this Donphan does, at least as long as the Gligar is around. So I take the Sludge Wave, and I think to myself, hey, maybe I can take another Sludge Wave and go for the Earthquake and kill. Unfortunately, I forgot Nidoqueen outspeeds me, and Ice Beam just OHKOs me from that range. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I was going to sack off the Donphan anyway, but, you know, it does hurt. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to click Hidden Power Ice here. I know I can take one move from the Nidoqueen because of my Assault Vest, and Hidden Power Ice does 51%. And I'm like, yes, that is fantastic. Perfect. So now I'm going to go into Doublade, and yes, this is risking an Earth Power, but we've seen that from that range, let me go back to that. We took 43%, I'm at 21 here. So yes, it could go for Ice Beam, it could go for Flamethrower. I'm risking that. But I figure since it wanted to go for the Sludge Wave, it's probably going to go for either a coverage move or Sludge Wave again. It's not going to risk taking a Hidden Power Ice and dying for going for Earth Power, predicting a Doublade. So I figure I should be able to get a relatively free switch into Doublade. And if this thing packed Flamethrower and went for it, that would have been a bad move. But again, this was the first time I was using this team, so I think I played a little recklessly there. Hindsight's 2020, but I do come in on a Sludge Wave, which is fantastic. So now I can go for the Shadow Sneak. I know it's going to kill Nidoqueen, and it'll wear down Vaporeon if it wants to switch in. If the Gligar comes in, that's okay, which is what's going to happen right now. Now, I want this Gligar to kill me. It goes for the Acrobatics, predicting Scrafty, but I want this thing to kill me. Because Gligar, I know, cannot OHKO Cloyster, even after Shell Smash's defense drops. So what I'm doing here is I'm going for the sword stance because I know otherwise he's not going to try to kill me. I want him to see that this is a threat. I want him to feel threatened by this Asna. Even though this thing, I'm sacking this. That's the point of me having the sword stance here, is to apply pressure on him and make it so, hey, he should not switch out. He should go for damage and kill me, because the Gligar can roost, it can wall me, but none of his other Pokemon can take a hit from Asna very well. So I want him, again, to kill me here. So I go for the Shadow Sneak. He's roosted. He feels like he's at a good enough HP. He goes for the Acrobatics. Once again, just predicting the Scrafty to come in. That's fine by me. But here is the time. I've set things up. Vaporeon is weakened. Registeel's at 15%. I know this Gligar cannot kill me even after the Rocks damage and the drop from Shell Smash. So I go for it. Earthquake does 32% because Cloyster has ridiculous base physical defense, guys. If you didn't know that, its base physical defense is ridiculous. The crit obviously doesn't matter on that one. It's Ice Move 4 times effective from Cloyster, who's Shell Smashed up. But I go and I kill the Gligar there. And now begins the sweep, because this thing can protect, gain a little bit of HP back, but as long as my Rock Blast do 10% to this thing, it's going to die. As long as it does at least 10% to it, it's going to die. And it doesn't resist rock moves, so I figure it's going to. It does 10%, 12%, 11%, 10%, and it's dead. And that is just so beautiful and so fantastic, because I know that Registeel is at the point with 15% health that it's going to die. If this Shinshino is scarfed, maybe it has a chance, but if not, it's just dead, which it is. Fantastic. The Virizion I can figure is probably not scarfed because it hasn't come in yet. If that was, it would have been his first switch. So he goes in the Virizion now, and I'm like, alright, Ice Cold Crash, boom, dead. And I'm at this point, I'm kind of hoping, I'm like, I hope Ice Cold Crash doesn't miss, because I think Ice Cold Crash is like a 90% chance to hit. And I'm like, if I had the Ice Cold Spear, it would have been 100% accurate. But unfortunately, we have the Ice Cold Crash. So I go for it again just because it's stab, and I don't want to risk if Rock Blast does 2%. If it would have to do at least 2%, so if it did 1% on any of them, Registeel could have then killed me with the Seismic Toss thing, I think. And then I'd have to deal with it with, like, any of my other Pokemon. But any of my other Pokemon, no, weird sounds, sorry guys. But any of my other Pokemon would have been able to actually go in and kill. So thankfully, this was still a pretty high-level match. We were facing someone from 1500, which I guess isn't really that high level for other people, but knowing me, it's a pretty high level for mine. And that's just because we had climbed pretty high from Butterfree. I dropped down a little bit while playing with some other teams, but the Butterfree team brought us up quite a bit. And so we got to face someone who was pretty darn talented, who used his team pretty well. We just happened to get into a situation and pressured well enough with that Sword Dance, which again was the reason we have that, is it's a tool for pressuring the opponent, so that we could get in a situation where Cloyster could win. And I think that was a good showcase of how Cloyster's supposed to work, which is why I kind of wanted to show this as the first battle. So hopefully you guys did enjoy that battle, and hopefully you guys have a good day, good week, good life. Now, goodbye.